and show on our Facebook side I don't know if you can see the missing nozzles within our yellow, and then over here in our cyan right here, and over on our yellow over here. So it's our head number 2, which is the one that's giving us the problem. So we've done a bunch of head cleanings and cleaning the underside of the print head and changed a bunch of things out, and it's still exactly the same the whole time. So now I know basically that my print head has got some issues, and I want to get that all straightened out and get it back to printing good. So it's the first time you do it, it's kind of a scary prospect because, one, these aren't cheap, you know, usually around $1,000 to $1,200 for an i3200 print head. So you want to be very, very careful when you do it because you don't want to damage the other ones that are in here. But two, it kind of hurts when you have to replace one. So we don't like to do it if we don't have to. So so what we're going to do first is make sure that you turn the power off on your printer. You need to make sure your power is completely off. And sometimes I will even go ahead and unplug it just to make sure there's no power in here. Because with your print head cables, when you go in here, they are exposed. So if anytime you're doing anything with your dampers, you're taking them off, you're putting them in, you want to basically make sure that you protect this. Because if your power is on and you drip ink down and it gets in here, then you can blow your print head because the ink will short out the electrical connections in here and blow it. So that's something we definitely don't want to do because we're already going to replace one. We don't want to have to replace 2 of them in the process. So so what you want to do is you want to make sure, like, have you a bunch of paper towels handy. And what we're going to do is, like, so this print head back here is the one I'm going to replace. So my biggest concern is this print head here in the front, right here. So what I want to do is I want to take my paper towels and just kind of fold them up and stick them in here over the top of the cables so that I can make sure that if I drip anything when I take those off, then it'll hit the paper towel and not go down and follow the cable down. So what I'm going to do is I just hold that there, set them right in there. Now, as you can see, these dampers are sort of in the way of all these other of the dampers I need to get back to here. So usually what you can do is, what we usually will do is just take like a little Ziploc bag, and what I'll do is I'll pull the dampers off the top, just being careful not to get a bunch of ink everywhere. So pull the damper off. I'll stick it down in here. Just like so, and then this way I can stick it off out of the way. And if any ink sort of dribbles out of here, then it'll stay in the bag and stay good in there. Okay, so I'm going to put this back in here just like this, just so everything is protected right in here. And it does help to, on the back of your printers, some of them have little clamps that you can clip off to kind of stop the flow of ink coming in. And so sometimes I will just reach back here and clip these off so that we don't have ink just sort of running in. Now what I need to do is I need to take these dampers out too as well. So what I'm going to do is, I got another Ziploc bag, and I am going to take these other ones out. Sometimes too, like this print head cable is kind of in my way, so I can try to either feed it out of the way here, or I can remove it, undo it from the interface boards up here. I can take it and pull it out of the way and get it out of my way. I'm going to try first not doing that first and just get these dampers just up and out of the way, and then I'll see if I have to move it, I'll move it. If I don't, I don't. Okay, so I got these dampers up in there, so they'll just sit off over here to the side. I'm going to push them off over here, get them out of my way. And they're in there fine right now. So now what I need to do is, now I have access to my print head back here in the back. So there's some print heads have 4 screws, some have 3. This particular one has 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 3 screws out. And when it's a back print head, it's a little harder to get to the screw, but we can get to it here. So perfect. So I've got all the screws loose. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a little paper towel down here, so when I get my old print head out, I can just set it right there. And now I can just lift the print head out. And then what I want to do is I want to start to unhook the cables that are right here. So I'm going to take the cables out. Keep them to where you don't want to get anything on the silver side of the connectors, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. We'll pull that out of there and just get it up and out of the way. So there, we have our print head out. And then you want to make sure that you save all your screws. So all your screws are here. And then you've got, so there's, if you ever want to see the bottom of your print head, there's the bottom of it. This is the most important part of your print head. You want to protect this, especially when you're putting your new one in. You want to protect this really well. You don't want to bang it down. You don't really want to set it down, rub it all over the place, because the nozzles on the bottom here are very sensitive. They're very delicate. There's a bunch of them on there, and if we're going to replace this, we want to make sure that our print head, our new nozzles are going to be in good shape when we put it back in. So, so get this up and out of the way. Get that up just to get it to stay up there and out of the way. And I'm going to lower my capping station down here so that when I go to put my new print head in, it'll just sit inside there and not want to be pushed up and out of the way. So let's get this up here, get this out of the way. See if you want to stay up here. Okay. So everything's good there. And I'm just examining, looking through here just to make sure I don't see anything that's down here going to cause a problem with anything. Nope, everything looks good. Get these cables out of the way here. So when I put my new one in and screw it in, it won't get caught on it. Okay, so we'll take our new print head cable, or it's a new print head, I'm sorry. And here's our brand spanking new print head. So get that sticker off of there, boom, just like that. And then these right here are where your cables go. And an i3200 print head has 2 cables on the left side and 2 cables on the right side. Okay, so I usually will hold this in the orientation it's going to go in. So I have 2 screw holes here in the front and 1 in the back. So what I will do is there is an up and down. Okay, so you have 1 cable goes up and 1 cable goes down. And I think what I'm going to do is, I think just to kind of be able to show you guys a little better of how these cables go back in, I'm gonna pull my cables from off of here and pull them out, and then we'll put them into the print head, and then I will feed them back up in here so you can kind of see what I'm what I'm doing, because the orientation of these cables is really, really important, because if you get those plugged in wrong, like you get them plugged in upside down, you get them plugged in the wrong order, you can cause damage to either the print head itself or to the interface card or to the headboard up here. And how do we know this? Because it happened the other day. One of our employees are going to change one, and he, by accident, plugged them in wrong in there, and it ended up blowing the headboard up here. So not a big deal. We had another one. We replaced it. But it's one of those when there's so many cables up here, it's easy to get them turned backwards. So you really want to take a lot of precaution in knowing that when you plug them in before you turn the power back on, that you know that they're in there correctly. Sometimes you can plug them in wrong and it'll give you an abnormal state on the board, and then you can turn the power off and get them plugged in, everything's fine. But then sometimes you can do it and it'll send a shock, and then it just damages the board. So we want to make sure we're super careful with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this rail off here that's kind of keeping all of our cables kind of pushed down. So I'm going to remove these screws right here. And I'm not going to remove it all the way because I won't really need to, but I'm going to go ahead and reach up here and tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go, there's a cover that sits over the top of here. I'm going to take this cover off too, so I can get a little bit more room to work. And plus, in case I want to show you something inside there, we'll be able to see it. Loosen these up here. Just got to loosen and then lift this off of here. That one take all the way out. One more screw. Perfect. Get that out of the way. Now to deal with you. Now I can take this and grab this little interface board here, and I can unplug the cables from it. And then when we get these cables connected back to our print head, then we'll put this back in. I'll show you the orientation that it goes on there. And almost all DTF printers have about the same sort of configuration when it comes to the interface boards, print head cables, all of those. So now I can pull those all the way out. And the biggest thing that I really want to watch out for is all of the little silver connectors that are here. There's a blue side and a silver side that I don't want, when I go to plug it back into the print head, I don't want any ink or anything on these. I want it completely clean and dry. If you do have some on there, wipe it off. If you can't get it clean enough, then you just need to replace the cables. And cables are cheap, and sometimes it's a good idea to replace the cables themselves. But these have been fine. Those all look good, so I'm not too worried about those. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my print head, the new one. Here it is. And on this print head, you have, so like I said, you have two cables that go in on this side, two cables that come in on this side. The bottom always has the silver side going down. So we're just going to slide that right into there, just like so. And you just want to slide it in, work it in until you feel it stop, and then just stop from there. Don't keep forcing it in. It's going to slide in as far as it can go, and it's going to stop. Then I'm going to take my top one, and now the top one, the silver side goes up. So the blues should be facing themselves. So the bottom face, the blue faces up. The top, the blue faces down. So the silver's down on the bottom, silver's up on the top. So we're going to slide this right into here. Slide it in until it stops. Feel it kind of click in there. And then same thing for the other side. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Just like that. And silver goes up on this one. Like so. Boom. So now my cable, and I find it easier, you should install your cables on the printhead itself out of here, because if you try to do it when you put the printhead in, you'll never be able to get them in, and you'll bend the pins and stuff. So sort of do it while it's out in your hand, slide them in. Whether you take the cables all the way loose or not, you should still be able to work in here. Even if your cables are in here, you should still be able to work in here and do it. And then what I find is helpful is to go ahead and put the screws back in your printhead before you try to do it, because I have short, fat, little stubby fingers, and I find that if I get it in there and I'm trying to get the screws back in, it's a little harder to do with everything else sort of in the way. Okay, so I got my screws back in, and what I'm going to do is, being very mindful of the bottom of my printhead, because I don't want to damage it, and I have my cables here, and I want to just bring this in and set it right into place. Just like that. And making sure that it's seated in there correctly. It's dropped in. I have nothing else in the way. And that's sort of in the position that it needs to go into right there. So now what I want to do is I want to get my screws started, all 3 screws started, but I don't want to tighten them all the way down just yet. So I'm going to get this one started, and then my other one started, and then, that's good. This back one's at a weird angle, so, okay, there we go. So when you put this printhead cable back in, or I'm sorry, when you put the printhead in, you want to make sure there's a little bit of, you can see a little bit of play left and right and up and down when you put this in. So before you tighten the screws down, if you'll push the printhead all the way to the left and then all the way towards the back of the printer. So push it that way and lock it in. It is going to be really close, because we do have to do a recalibration after you've changed the printhead. But this, like when I install the printheads, I put them all in, all the way to the left, all the way back, so that every one of them are like so close. And then I'll have to do a little bit of calibration left and right, up and down, to get this one to match all the rest of them again. But right now, this is going to be close enough for us at this point right now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to get the cables out of the way. Just get them up and out of the way so they're not in here messing around, getting in my way. Like so. Okay. Now what I can do is I can go ahead and put my dampers back on the top of my printhead so that they're sealed up and locked on there right now. So what I will do is I'm going to take and get this back here. And there's an order to the way that the damper, your color dampers go on top of your printhead. So going from left to right, it goes black, cyan, magenta, and yellow. So we want to make sure when we put these back on, we put them back in that exact order. You can start from the right and work your way left. You start from the left, work your way right. It doesn't really matter as long as they're in this order. If you get them out of order, then obviously your color is going to come out way wrong on that. So what I will do is now I'm going to grab my yellow right here, and I'm going to kind of wipe off some of this the color is kind of mixed a little bit on the bottom of it. It's not really a big deal, but I'm gonna go ahead and set this back on top of here. Oop, that one's secured. I'll do my magenta now. Go ahead and wipe everything off. And now magenta's going down. And then we're going to do boop, boop, boop. And I'm going to pop the cyan in there. And then here's my black. Okay. So now my black, cyan, magenta, and yellow is back on there. So that's good. Find my trash. Get rid of that out of here. Okay. And as you can see, if you see here, so I had my cyan one touched right here. I had a little drip. So you can see, like, if I didn't have this paper towel here, it could have dripped right down here and run right down into the print head. So that's why it's really important to try to keep all of your cables plugged in where you're sort of in the general area where you're working so that you don't get anything on here. Okay, so I've got that in. So now what I want to do is, while I don't have anything here, it's going to be easier for me to feed this up. So what I'm going to do is feed my cables back up through here. Let me try one first. Start over here, come inside here, follow this up, good job. It's kind of a lot easier when you're not watched doing it. Let me feed this up through here, get both these cables going. Okay, so I got both of those cables coming up here, just like that. And let's do the other side. Feed them up around in here. There we go. Right up through here. Bada bing, bada boom. And then we'll feed it right underneath here with the rest of them. And that one's in there as well with the other ones. Okay. Get you moved over a little more. Perfect. Okay. All right, so now we have this back in up here. So now we want to bring this back to our little card that goes on the top of our headboard up here. So there's a front side and a back side. So there's a little arrow right here. I don't know if you can see, there's a little arrow right here. That always faces towards you, towards the front. So you want to make sure when you put these back in, it's going to go in that way with the arrow facing towards you. So with my left side, you need to make sure the back one goes to the bottom cable that plugged into the bottom of the print head on the left side, and this front one goes to the top cable that plugs into the left side of our print head. So when you go to plug this in, you need to make sure that you know which is the bottom cable and which is the top cable. You know, if you have the cables out and you're doing it, you could label one cable as, like, you know, B for bottom, T for top. You can just write a little Sharpie or something on here to make a mark. So what I'm going to do is I know I can kind of wiggle this cable and I can see which cable is the one moving. So I know that this one is my top cable. So it's going to go into the front one right here. And it's like the same way as on your print head. You just slide it in until it stops. Don't force it any further. Slide this in until it stops. Boom, just like that. And now we're going to go to our other side. And I'm going to look at this and see, okay, so this one is my top cable. So it goes to here. That's in. And this is my bottom. This one has to be my bottom one, so it'll go here on the back one. Just like so. And then this is just going to sit right back down on top of here and plug into here, just like that. Now you can see my cables are sticking up really high right here. So what I want to do is I want to pull the excess down, bring it down so that it doesn't get caught on anything when your print head is moving by and printing. So I'm going to pull this back down, like so. Get that out of the way. I'm going to push these back into place, and now I can go ahead and clamp this bar back down and kind of hold these down in the position that they need to be in here. So I'll grab my screwdriver, get my screw started. Make sure you don't screw through the cable. Make sure they're out of the way. Just like that. And then this one and this one. Okay. All right. So we're done with the back one now. So now what I'm going to do is now I can go and put my white dampers back on top of the print head now. So I'm going to take this, drop it on, take this, drop it on, had a little dribble right there. Go ahead and wipe them up. Right here. And right here. Oh, a little something in the way there. Let me get that out of there. Right here. Let me grab my needle nose. They're inside here. All right. Let me grab my needle nose and grab that. Get that out of the way. For me there. Okay, I just had a little bit of trash in there. Couldn't get it with my fingers, so I'm going to get that out of there. So now I can put this, lock it back on, just like that. I can throw this away now. Now this and this is all done. So we have our print head changed. We have our dampers back on there. We have our front dampers back on. All our cables look really clean, so we don't have to worry about that. We're all plugged in back here. And so now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and plug the printer back in, turn the power back on. Let it initialize, let it boot up. Okay, everything booted up fine. We don't have no red lights back here. If you plug something up wrong, usually there's a little red flashing light that'll kind of show you that. If you use Print EXP as your printer interface, this right down here at the bottom, this little temperature gauge right here, if you click on this, it'll show you all of your print heads. If you have something plugged in incorrectly, a lot of times it'll say, like, it'll be red, say abnormal on here, but we have, this is a 5 head, so there is no head 6. That's why it's showing it, it's disconnected, because there is no head number 6. There's no 6th head here, so that's fine. But all of our head 1 through 5 are all green, and it's showing the temperature, so we know that everything is good in that sense. Our electrical connections are good on it, so so that looks really good there. So now what we're going to do is, since I loaded this in here, I put this in here, there's no ink in the print head itself just yet. So you can do a couple of print head cleanings, will help to draw it in. I've kind of gotten to the point where I like to just do, like, there's a load ink function here. And if I click this, I can go down and I can just choose just head number 2, because that's the one I replaced. I can click on that and I can go load ink, and it's going to basically start pulling ink down into the print head. And I'll do it for about 7 or 8 seconds. And there's a little timer that pops up here. So that'll be probably pretty good right there. And then what I'll do is I'll do a head cleaning. Because when you do a load ink, it's going to fill up your capping station underneath here. It's going to fill it up. So I kind of need to do another head cleaning to basically suck out that excess ink that's built up into there. And sometimes we'll do, after this gets done, we'll do a nozzle test real fast, and we'll just see what our nozzles look like. Sometimes it takes a cleaning or two to get enough ink into your print head when they're brand new. So we'll see. So now I'll do a nozzle test. We'll let it fire it off, and we'll see what our nozzles look like on our head number 2 and see if we have good nozzle check on that. Let me pull this forward. And now we can see, now we're not missing any of our yellow that we were missing before. And that chunk that was out in the cyan, let me see if I can see if we can see this better. Can you see the gap that we had where it was missing all of this through here in the yellow on both sides, and the cyan was right here? Was gone. Now you can see we have everything back in here on our yellow, and our cyan's not missing its spot anymore. So that's it. So the only other thing to do is you can do a test print and make sure your test print looks good. Make sure everything is lining up the way it's supposed to. If you find that it's not, then you need to come up and do go up to your adjust and do your headspace calibration for your left and right, your horizontal left and right, and your vertical up and down. That's a video for another day, but that's basically how you change your print head on here. So it's kind of scary, but it's not super hard to do. If you follow these steps, it's good. It's just making sure the biggest key factors is protect the underside. Protect the underside of your new print head. When you're trying to put it in there, be careful not banging it around in there. You just want to kind of really guide it in there and get it set in there so you don't scratch the bottom of it. Making sure that your cables are plugged in correctly. The bottom silver goes down, top silver goes up. Make sure you plug it into the right spot up here, on here, and then protect all of your cables with your paper towel so you don't get any ink on your cables. And that's it. So it's not really, it is kind of scary the first time you do it, but the more you do it, the easier it gets, but it is something that you're able to do yourself. If you follow this guide, you should be able to do it yourself, no problem. and you'll be back up and printing back normal. So if there's any questions, anybody has any questions, feel free to reach back out to us. You can DM us, give me a call, and I'll walk you through it and send you a video, do whatever. So thank you guys for stopping by here today and watching this. I just thought it was a quick fun little thing to do, because people are always asking, like, how do you change the print head? I'm scared to change the print head. You say, like, I just did it. It probably took maybe 15 minutes, maybe. And I had all eyes on me, so that makes it a little more nervous than if I was just doing it for myself. But you can do it too. So thank you guys for stopping by and watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.